In today's video, we're talking about a ship from the P&O Line 1 that many of you might know, the SS Canberra. Built by the famous Harland and Wolff shipbuilders in Belfast, she was launched in 1961 as an ocean liner before later becoming a cruise ship in the P&O fleet. But the Canberra wasn't just a passenger vessel, she also served as a troop ship during the 1982 Falklands War. And in 1997, as she sailed her final voyage, she was honored with a song, Farewell Canberra by Gerard Kenny. Hello everyone, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines, and today we'll dive into the full story of the SS Canberra, from her construction to her years of service, and ultimately her scrapping. If you're excited for this video, leave a like, as it helps bring the story of this incredible ship to more people. And with that out of the way, let's begin. The vessel was to be owned by the P&O Line and constructed by the renowned shipbuilders Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Ireland. Now, if we quickly go over her specifications, she would have been built with a gross tonnage of 45,270 gross registered tons. Her length measured 820 feet, while her beam spanned 103 feet. Canberra's engineering was similar to that of her predecessors, RMS Strathnaver and RMS Strathaired, both of which she replaced on the Tilbury-Brisbane route. Like them, she featured turbo-electric transmission. Rather than being directly connected to her propeller shafts, Canberra's steam turbines powered large electric alternators, which supplied electricity to electric motors that drove her twin propellers. These were the most powerful steam turbo-electric units ever installed in a passenger ship, generating 42,500 horsepower per shaft, exceeding the 40,000 horsepower per shaft of the SS Normandy. This advanced system enabled Canberra to reach a speed of 27 knots. She was equipped with a bow propeller to assist with port maneuvering and docking. Additionally, she was the first British passenger liner to be powered by alternating current. Canberra featured a bulbous bow, dual stabilizer systems, and two side-by-side funnels. Her lifeboats, constructed from glass fiber, were positioned 3 decks lower than typical for ships of her class, and were recessed into the hull, enhancing visibility from the passenger decks. An interesting fact about the Canberra is that she was the last ocean liner ever built by the renowned Harland and Wolff shipyard. She also held the distinction of being the largest ship constructed there since the White Star Line's HMHS Britannic. The vessel was launched on March 17, 1960, to the cheers of dockers, shipyard workers, and a crowd of 11,000 spectators. Following her launch, she commenced her sea trials. During her sea trials in Belfast Lough, the immense power of her engines caused her large bulbous bow to almost rise completely out of the water. This worried her designer, Mr. John West, the technical team from the P&O Line, and the naval architects and builders at Harland and Wolff. The cause was the weight of the machinery located at the aft, with no ballast added yet to balance it. She then made her way to Southampton, where the correct amount of ballast was added to her forward compartments to act as a counterbalance. After spending several weeks in Southampton for her final fitting out, the Canberra set sail for her acceptance trials on May 18th. During the trials, she cruised over a measured mile off the Isle of Arran and achieved an impressive top speed of 29.27 knots, with her bow perfectly aligned. The P&O line commissioned the SS Canberra to serve on the combined P&O Orient line route between the United Kingdom and Australasia, with a capacity for 548 first-class passengers and 1,650 in tourist class. On June 2nd, 1961, just before 5 p.m., the ship set sail from Southampton on her maiden voyage. She passed through the Suez Canal and made stops at Colombo, Fremantle, Melbourne, Sydney, Auckland, Suva, Honolulu, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, before returning to Southampton via the same ports. Commanding the vessel was Commodore Geoffrey Wild, who had been appointed Commodore of the fleet just 1 day prior, following his exceptional career as a captain. By mid-1963, the Canberra had spent several months in dry dock in Southampton, as well at the builder's yard for repairs to her electrical and mechanical systems. The advent of mass air travel had already begun by the time the Canberra was constructed, and by the early 1960s, falling airfares were increasingly challenging P&O's competitive pricing. In the second half of 1962, the Canberra embarked on a short cruise from Southampton, followed by 2 voyages to New York. While more cruises followed, the majority of the ship's first decade was spent serving the Australia route. At the close of 1972, she was taken out of service and refitted to accommodate 1,500 single-class passengers for cruises. Remarkably, this shift from her early role as a purpose-built ocean liner to a long and prosperous cruising career took place without significant external modifications, with only minimal internal and mechanical adjustments over the years. Among her public spaces was the Cricketer's Tavern, featuring a collection of cricket bats and ties from clubs worldwide. On 2 April 1982, the Argentinian military junta took control of the Islas Malvinas and invaded the British Falkland Islands. At the time, Canberra was on a Mediterranean cruise. The next day, her captain, Dennis Scott Masson, received an unexpected message asking for his estimated arrival time in Gibraltar, a port not included in his itinerary. Upon reaching Gibraltar, he learned that the Ministry of Defense had requisitioned Canberra as a troop ship. She then sailed to Southampton, Hampshire, where she was swiftly refitted before departing on the 9th of April for the South Atlantic. Nicknamed the Great White Whale, the Canberra played a crucial role in transporting 3 commando brigades to the Falkland Islands, located over 9,000 nautical miles from the United Kingdom. She was deployed to the very center of the conflict. The Canberra anchored in San Carlos water on 21st May as part of the British forces' landings to reclaim the Falkland Islands. Despite her large size and distinctive white color, which made her an obvious target for the Argentine Air Force, the Canberra was not severely damaged during the landings. Argentine pilots focused their attacks on warships rather than supply and troop ships. After the conflict, some Argentine pilots revealed they had been instructed not to target the Canberra, as they mistakenly believed she was a hospital ship. While hospital ships are required to be painted white, like the Canberra, they must also fly a Red Cross flag, which she did not. The Canberra then sailed to South Georgia, where 3,000 troops were transferred from the Queen Elizabeth II before being landed at San Carlos on the 2nd of June. After the war, the Canberra was used to repatriate captured Argentine soldiers, transporting them to Puerto Madryn before returning to Southampton to a triumphant welcome on the 11th of July. Captain Scott Masson, who had begun his seafaring career in the late 1940s as an apprentice aboard the Shaw, Saville and Albion Line troopship Empire Devon, was later awarded a CBE and appointed aide-de-camp to Queen Elizabeth II. After the war and a major refit, the Canberra resumed service as a cruise ship. Her role in the Falklands conflict significantly boosted her popularity with the British public, leading to strong ticket sales for years to come. In March 1986, she received the Golden Cockerel Trophy, passed down from the retiring Oriana. However, as she aged, her high fuel consumption and operating costs made her increasingly inefficient compared to modern cruise ships. Faced with the expensive modifications needed to comply with the 1997 SOLAS regulations, P&O ultimately chose to retire her. On 25th June 1996, P&O Cruises announced that the Canberra would be retired by the end of 1997. Although Premier Cruise Line expressed interest in purchasing the ship, P&O was unwilling to see the Canberra operate under a different flag and declined the offer. Instead, Premier acquired the similarly designed Rotterdam. To replace the Canberra, P&O transferred the 1988-built Star Princess into the fleet, renaming her Arcadia. On 25th September 1997, while docked in Cannes, France, Canberra ceremoniously passed the Golden Cockerel Trophy to the new Oriana. The Canberra was officially withdrawn from P&O service on the 30th of September 1997 and sold for scrapping on the 10th of October. She departed for the Gadani shipbreaking yard in Pakistan on 31st October 1997. Due to her deep draft, she could not be beached as far as most ships, and her robust construction made the dismantling process far more challenging. Originally expected to take 3 months, her scrapping ultimately lasted nearly a year, with the process completed by the end of 1998. That brings us to the end of the story of the SS Canberra, a ship that defined an era, from her early days as a grand ocean liner to her service in the Falklands War and her final years as a beloved cruise ship. She may be gone, but her legacy lives on in the memories of those who sailed aboard her and in the history of maritime travel.